This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Live every Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I am your host, Dan Z. Thrilled to be talking Star Wars with each and every one of you, and I am so happy right now. I see our regulars are here. We moved the time back 1 hour. So, of course, we're starting earlier tonight than we have, and we're going to try to do this going forward. And you're all here. You've all joined me. That makes me so happy. Thank you so much. We're going to have some fun talking Star Wars tonight. So, look at Matthew Graken is here. He says, "Hi, Dan and CWK crew from 10,000 feet in the air. Matthew and his family is on their way to Galaxy's Edge. So, very exciting. Wish them well. Matthew, thanks for joining us. That's so cool. We've got all of our people here. I love it. I love it. Minta, of course, this is the way it's CWK Day. Hello, Minta. Good to have you. Thanks for joining us early. Daniel, hi, folks. Hello to you, my friend. Colby is here, too. Hello, Colby. Good to have you, man. Hopefully this earlier time will be easier for you to join us. That would be great. Jason, good evening to you. Mary is here, of course. Happy Monday to you, Mary. Blake is here. Hey, homies. Good to see you, Blake. Christina is here. Hi, happy to be back this week. Missed last week due to working a night shift. Oof, well, we are glad that you could join us, Christina. LJ is here. Here's a sneak preview, by the way. Our deep dive of this, which we're going to record after tonight's Facebook Live, LJ is our special guest, so how about it? Cato is here. Hello, Cato. Good to have you back. It says, this opening reminds me that I have those Star Wars glasses stored in my basement, and I should get them out on a shelf soon. Cato, you should. They're great. Pride of my collection for sure. Let's see. Matthew says, love the shirt. Thank you. I got this before I even saw an episode of The Bad Batch. I'm really glad I have it. Thank you. Jason says, sweet shirt as well. Thank you. Terry is here. Terry's got to be close to your countdown to going back to Disney World and seeing Galaxy's Edge. I know you are excited. Brian, hello. Good to have you. Happy Monday to you. Matthew, you are so welcome. Hey, Josh is here, excited to talk the finale of the season, thankfully, and not the show. That is right. And, of course, Mason Z is here. What's up, Mason? Blake wants to know who let LJ in here. Well, LJ snuck in, but we're happy to have him. One more CWK live day, and I'll be there. Awesome. Woo. All right, that's good. I like the way you keep track of the time. I like that. That's good stuff. All right, wonderful. I think we've got even more people than we usually do at this particular time, so that is fantastic. I just want to jump in and talk Bad Batch. By the way, thanks to everybody who reached out. And I know a lot of you reached out to MEI, which is fantastic. If you are ready to take a trip that is out of this world, be sure to email starcruiser@mei-travel.com to be added to the interest list. Remember, we talked all about the Galactic Star Cruiser last week. And if you want to get on the interest list to just have the option to consider booking, remember, it's a no cost, no obligation situation. You're just giving yourself a chance that if you decide you want to do it, this is the best way to do it. I emailed Becky last week and the Star Cruiser email address because I want to get on that list because you just never know. And it seems like a lot of you were pretty excited, by the way, about discussing a possibility of someday us all going on the Star Cruiser together. And I've gotten a lot of great questions about this. I do want to say, and Mary talked about this last week too, if we do that, it will not be in 2022. It will not be the next calendar year because that's in celebration. As I don't think it's fair, personally, to ask people to save all their money for celebration and then turn around and go on an epic Galactic Star Cruiser one. So I'm thinking 2023 off the top of my head. That gives us much more time to plan, to prepare, and to save. The longer we take to save, the easier it will be for us to finally make that experience a reality without putting ourselves in a tricky financial bind. I mean, because you know what? I know we got to save, and that's good. It's going to be worth it. So be thinking in the back of your brains, 2023 Coffee with Kenobi, Star Wars Disney trip like you're not going to believe on the Galactic Star Cruiser. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Very good. So I guess that counts as what's brewing, right? I think that does. So again, we're going to talk about your top 5 moments from the Bad Batch episode, Kamino Lost. There's a great image of Crosshair looking at Hunter. We're certainly going to be talking a lot about those two this week. They had quite a few run-ins together, and it was not pretty at times, I would say. All right. Let's see. Daniel says time works great, although weird as it is still light out. Well, I'm glad it's light out here too. I mean, who knows? I'm not sure when we do the spring forward, fall back thing. I'm assuming it's in the fall. That makes the most sense. But yeah, that's going to be even more of an interesting occurrence as it goes on. All right. Top 5 moments from Kamino Lost. Oh boy. Why do I have top 5 secrets? Oh, I know why. I put the wrong thing in there. Okay. Let's just jump into my number 5. How about that? Number 5, the monster chase and the animation. So this creature, Mason and I debated what the creature actually was that is chasing after the Bad Batch as they're running down that tunnel. And he thinks it's one of the ones from the Phantom Menace. And I thought that too, but then I looked at it again and it's much smaller. And it's got kind of a fin tail at the end, like some sort of a dolphin or a whale or something. So I'm not sure, but the animation of that was gorgeous. The monster chase was very, very suspenseful. That's why it is my number 5. Colby's number 5. The final shot on Kamino, Crosshair standing on the platformer, reminded me of a Ralph McQuarrie painting. Colby, that's great. I hadn't thought about it in relation to a Ralph McQuarrie painting, but that is a really good call. A really good call. Very good. Means is number 5. AZ helping the crew out of a jam. Great. AZ was really an MVP. Hopefully we see a lot more of AZ in season 2. Josh, light effects. Very cool, especially the explosions inside the facility at the beginning. Again, I don't know a lot about animation. I know what I like. I know what I like to watch. But the lighting on this and the sound is just unbelievable. So kudos to everyone at Lucasfilm and Lucasfilm Animation for this incredible season. Kato, resolving Crosshair's loyalty, but also understanding his honor code. Wow, Crosshair is complicated, Kato. I think you would agree. I'm not sure what to think of Crosshair. I think there's a lot to discuss with that character. Some bad, some good, and some just not really sure where to kind of compartmentalize him. But that's what Crosshair's like anyway. Okay. Christina's number 5. The clone trooper on Rampart's Venerator. The distress in his voice from reporting the destruction on Kamino. I love that part. I'm definitely going to be talking about that later. I think that's really important. Mary, was that Dr. Pershing's mentor we saw at the end of the show? Where is this mountain? Ending scene leaves us with many questions. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, is that Yavin? It doesn't look like Yavin, but it's kind of got the same kind of geography to it. I don't know. That's a good question, Mary. Number 5 for Jason, a clean break. Number 1, the destruction of Topoka City, signaling the end of one era and the beginning of another. I also really liked the batch pausing and looking at the cloning lab one last time. It's like they gave us one last look, too. True. Well said, Jason. Number 5 for Terry, AZ storyline. Definitely. Number 5 for Blake, them going up in the tubes. It was cheesy, but a fun final act in the escape. Oh, that was suspenseful because you're playing on this whole episode. You had claustrophobia, you had fear of drowning, you had isolation. It really played upon all of the classic fears that people have. Daniel's number 5, opening scene with Rampart and the clone mentioning that all was destroyed with a sense of dismay. Yes, well said. Well said. It's really just chilling. Ben is here. What's up, Ben? I like your new picture, bud. He says, I have to say that the music was the best in this episode. Really made the dramatic parts more dramatic. Yes. Yes, it certainly did. The music the whole season, tremendous. James is number 5. Welcome, James. He says, the giant turtle crab monster. That name's is good enough to me. I like that, and I agree. That thing was cool. Mason's number 5 was when Crosshair saves AZ and Omega. That was very thrilling and suspenseful. And Mason picked that as his number 5. Just wait till you see what his number 1 is. Pretty cool stuff. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into number 4. You guys have so many great things. I'm going to run out of voice, which is great. Number 4 for me is the Omega Swim and Rescue. Early on in the episode, she has to swim underwater quite a few times because Crosshair is trapped. She uses her her energy bow to try to free him. She keeps cool under the most incredible pressure you can imagine. That's why that one was my number 4. Okay, let's see what other people have here. James says, I gotta say I was expecting Vader or Boba Fett. I know a lot of people were upset that we got nothing major, but the episode was okay. And so at this point, hopefully next year we get them. You know what? I'm glad they didn't do that, because after a while, if you keep using these gimmicks all the time, then it becomes like professional wrestling where somebody just shows up and yay, and Boba Fett and Vader weren't a part of it. So I'm glad they didn't show up. But James, I totally understand what you're saying, my friend. Totally do. Andrew is here. Andrew, what's up, man? He says, the concept art for that cloning facility was labeled as Wayland Mount Tantus, harkening back to the original Zahn trilogy. Gives me chills. Wow. Nice, Andrew. That is a really good observation. Thank you for sharing that. Minta's number 4, escaping the debris of the city with the tubes. Can't top a classic escape plan. I like that one as well. Blake mentioned that earlier. Christina, the final scene. What does it mean? Will we find out more of the Empire's cloning plans? I hope so. I hope so. Number 4 for Colby, the writing. Specifically these lines, understanding you doesn't mean I agree with you, from Tech, and we want different things. Crosshair doesn't mean we have to be enemies. It's Hunter. Yeah, the writing was great. I actually missed, was it Jennifer Corbett that wrote this one? I actually can't remember now who wrote this one. Probably, but it was spectacular. Kato's number 4, moving into the depth of the Imperial clone program. It has possible connections to Mandalorian and to the area of the final Skywalker trilogy. It does. It does. It's almost wrapped up too neatly. I don't know. I feel like they're going to trick us somehow, but good catch, Kato. Number 4 for Mary, Crosshair saving AZ and Omega. Yes, I love that too. That was Mason's number 5. Josh says he agrees a good score doesn't change the mood. It adds to it. That's what's so great about John Williams as well as Kevin Kiner in this case. Some people understand the value of a good score. My example of what a not great score can do to the movie is Shin Godzilla. Okay, I'm going to take your word on that one. Terry's number 4, Omega saving Crosshair. Yep, definitely. That one will show up a lot. Number 4 for Jason is a clean break. Crosshair's choice to remain loyal to the Empire. It was relieving to know that the uncertainty has been resolved for now, at least. Definitely for now. Brian, Omega saving Crosshair. No hesitation. Omega does everything with conviction, as it is always the right thing to do. That's right. I love that about Omega. She just does what needs to be done. Mary says, Andrew, that's exactly what I thought. Well, cool. Well done. Number 4 for Blake, the sea monsters, adding to the world building of Kamino, to which the show has done super well with all of its locations. I agree. Ben's number 4, the final scene looking on the wreckage of the city. The morning after just trying to survive. It was a beautiful shot, and I feel sad seeing this beautiful city destroyed. It was very sad. I think it's amazing they were able to make us feel as sad as they did. I agree. Daniel's number 4, the initial explosion that shook the platform, the Bad Batch crew, and the effect of the ringing and the muffled background noise really made me feel like I was there. Cool. I'm glad. I think they would be really happy to hear that. James, number 4, Crosshair aiming his sniper at Hunter, getting us to think he was going to kill him, only to save Omega, was brilliant. It was a really cool twist. Number 4, Mason put Omega being nice, and what he means by that is all the times that Omega saves Crosshair, helps save the Bad Batch, shows patience, shows poise, shows bravery beyond reproach. That's why Mason just loved what Omega did in this episode. Daniel says, anybody notice that Crosshair is still holding his head like he has a headache? I had noticed that, so I'm hoping he's still got that chip. I don't know. He sort of seems kind of hard to trust, you know? Before we get on to number 3, Josh is number 4. Now, saying The Mandalorian. This wasn't necessarily something I liked or disliked. There's speculation. We don't want to do the speculation thing, and he agrees. Hope it doesn't lead to a crossover or anything. Not sure how that would work, but maybe a connection. I don't know. We will try to steer clear of that, but bookmark that, Josh, and bring that up if that happens. Let's go into number 3. Number 3, Tech defends Crosshair. So I put defense in quotes because he basically says, I understand you. Doesn't mean I agree with you. So because Crosshair says, why'd you defend me? He's like, I didn't, dude. I didn't defend you at all. I understand what you're saying, but I do not agree with you. I just like seeing Tech be assertive like that and not use logic. I thought that was really cool. James says, I wonder if all that damage to the planet will make Kamino stop raining. Notice it wasn't raining at the end. Ooh, fascinating. I hadn't thought about that, James. Mason and I certainly noticed the sunlight, but not the fact that it wasn't raining. Cool. Mean number 3, Wrecker and Tech challenging Crosshair's ethics. You could see the wheels slowly turning in his head as if he was questioning himself. Good catch, Meantime. I hadn't thought of it that way, but that's a really good catch. Mary's number 3, Tech and Crosshair, just because I understand you doesn't mean I agree with you. Excellent. That's my number 3 as well. Terry's number 3, Crosshair saving Omega. Right or wrong, he sticks to his own code. Yes, he does. Colby's number 3, the visual storytelling in the darkness throughout most of the episode gives us a true sense of peril, only to give way to a bright, beautiful ending once all the damage has subsided. Well said, Colby. Well said. Jason's number 3, sunshine on Kamino. Hopefully a sign of a clearer path ahead for the Bad Batch. That would be nice. Kato, I was digging Omega taking the lead. She's learned a lot, and she knows this facility. She is part of the team. So much so. So much so. Kato, I was actually talking about this with Mason, but Omega's becoming one of my favorite Star Wars characters. There is no way I would have predicted that after season 1. I mean, I thought she was fine, but boy, I just really like her. She's cool. Omega's really cool. She's got a lot to offer. Christina AZ rescuing the Bad Batch and losing all of his power to save Omega, and Omega unwilling to let go, even though it may cost her own life. Christina, that was so moving. I was legitimately worried about what was going to happen. It was so stressful. Josh wrote an interview on StarWars.com with Brad Brown, Jennifer. So they said Crosshair did indeed have his chip removed, but I guess we'll see. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Josh. I know that was up on StarWars.com. I did not check it today, but I definitely will read that interview. Thank you for sharing that with us. Brian's number 3, the suspense of the escape in the tube. We were wondering what troubles they would face. We called it the crack in the tube just as it happened. I know, it's like anything that could go wrong did. Ben, Omega fighting to save Crosshair from the flooding. Fits her character well. She doesn't judge who she helps. She just helps. That's right. That is right. Blake, definitely the line you just talked about. An attitude that society is missing nowadays, so it hit hard. I agree. Oh, good connection, Blake. I hadn't thought of it that way. That's a really good connection. Number 3 for Daniel AZ. The droid played an integral part in this episode and why the crew is still surviving. Yes. AZ may be a permanent part of this team. I hope so anyway. James is number 3. Omega saving the droid. That kind of looks like Cad Bane's droid. Can't remember his name. You're talking about AZ, of course. And I agree with you. That's pretty wonderful. Number 3 for Mason is the one that I had, that Mary had, that some of you had. Understanding you doesn't mean I agree with you. Again, Tech asserting himself, putting up boundaries with Crosshair, and also saying, yeah, I get it, but I don't agree with it. I understand why you're saying it, but I don't agree. Mason, that was Mason's number 3. Let's look at number 2. Number 2 for me is the sad clone. I believe Minta brought this up earlier, but when the clone reports that Kamino is destroyed, the cloning facility has been completely destroyed, the clone, his voice, his posture, his shoulders, his head go down. He's very sad. And I think that's important. That pathos is super important because it shows that these clones are following orders. Good soldiers follow orders. Yes, that is true. But it's painful because these clones have experienced loss of their home, their family, their creation. That's pretty rough. It's no wonder the clones eventually fight against the Empire. At least the ones that we've seen anyway. Josh says, sunny day on Kamino. I think this might be the first time we've ever seen Kamino not raining. Still trying to figure it out, but I think it means that everything is over. The attack is over. Topoka City is gone. The Clone Wars are over. The Republic. It's all bittersweet. As a sense of not just sadness, but a sort of serenity and acceptance that the show is going to move forward. Well said, Josh. I agree with that. Definitely. Kato, the way the clone trooper hesitated when reporting the destruction of the facility, the idea of humanity in the clones and the droids come through in this series. Yes, just like I said for my number 2, I agree with you, Kato. There's a lot of humanity with the droids. With the clones here, and it really is Really palpable. Number 2 for Minta, Omega and Crosshair rescuing each other during the finale. Very suspenseful and exciting. Number 2 for Christina, every conversation between Hunter and Crosshair, each trying to convince the other of their point of view, but neither would ever succeed. Each thinks they are right, the other is wrong, and there's no middle ground, but Hunter definitely has the high ground. I see what you did there. Yeah, can they find middle ground in this? I don't think so, but you hope something will work out. Mary's number 2, Kamino in full sunshine and no rain. Omega saying it's all gone. That was so sad, wasn't it? Oh my goodness. Number 2 for Colby, AZ is the MVP. He saves the day multiple times. His sacrifice was emotional and powerful. I agree. They both tried to sacrifice for each other. It was really something. Jason's number 2, Omega's compassion and bravery, risking her life to save AZ and Crosshair, and her interactions with Crosshair. Yes, Omega is a rock star. I would say she's the MVP too, for sure. I think they can share it. Colby, I think you might agree. Terry's number 2, Sunshine on Kamino, first recollection of it that I'd seen. I agree. It was really neat. I'm going to get to that. James, the clone reported that Kamino was destroyed. It shows that even brainwashed, they still have feelings. Exactly. So again, you wonder what's going on with these chips at this point. It's a good point, James. Ben, number 2, text line that we've all mentioned. I understand you, but doesn't mean I agree with you. I wrote down the same point as Blake. It's an attitude we need more of today that hit me hard. Yes, very much so. There's some smart people working on this show, and some smart people here discussing it. Brian's number 2, AZ's sacrifice for Omega's safety reminds me of Baymax's journey from Big Hero 6. Ooh, good connection, Brian. I hadn't thought of it like that. That's a really good one. Daniel, number 2, Tech and Crosshair's interaction. Understanding you does not mean I agree with you. Love it. Wait, AZ died? No, AZ didn't die, but was about to, and then AZ was rescued. But it will have to be charged up. Hopefully they've got a USB on the Marauder to take care of that. Blake's number 2. Wrecker's still aiming his weapon at Crosshair even after he saves Omega. The group protection over her can be relatable. It really can. It's really nicely done. Colby can get behind the co-MVPs. Absolutely. I thought you might, my friend. Josh, Crosshair and Omega talk. They're common comparison for Omega and the batch has been father-daughter, at least with Hunter. Excuse me. But I think it might be better to define it as big brother, little sister dynamic, especially because of this. You know, Josh, I agree with that. I think that's a little more apt. Although it kind of fluctuates, as it does with Anakin and Obi-Wan, quite honestly. As it is with a lot of relationships, I think. Mary says he was by Crosshair. He died by Crosshair? Is that what you mean, Mary? I thought he was saved by Crosshair. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. That's the trick sometimes with reading these texts when they come so fast. So feel free to clarify that because I thought AZ was okay at the end. Mason's number 2 is you have a better idea. This is when Crosshair is challenging the fact that you're letting a kid call the shots, and Hunter's like, you have a better idea. And Mason loved that because Hunter's sticking up for Omega, and there's also a little bit of frustration with Crosshair, and Hunter's not accepting that. Omega knows what she's doing, and Crosshair's going to have to get in line if he wants to survive, and he does. Brian says Gonky will share some power with AZ in episode 1 of season 2. You heard it here first. There you go, Brian. Write that one down. So yes, Mary says he was saved by Crosshair. That's what I thought. When he shot down, you thought he was going to shoot down at them, but he saved Omega and AZ at the same time. That's what I thought you meant, Mary. Thank you for clarifying that. Because I started to get confused, and I thought, wait a minute, did I see AZ at the end? But we did. Whew! Thank goodness. Okay. Number 1. Let's see. I don't have a fun little drum roll. I just have that. That's not really a drum roll. Let's go ahead and jump into number 1. Number 1 favorite moment from the finale. For me, it's Sunny Kamino. A lot of you have said some beautiful things. I don't know that I could top them. I will say there's a lot of poetry and a lot of symbolism in the fact that there is hope after great, intense darkness. And that's what Star Wars is all about. So that's why I liked that first one so well, to put it kind of simply, I guess. Number 1 for Christina, the scene on the landing pad before leaving Kamino, Omega looking out, the storm is cleared, and the sky is blue. The darkness of destruction is past, and yet still smoke remains. We usually see the cities on Kamino as the beacon of light in the storm. And now it's like in the absence of those cities as score, and that scene is perfection. Oh, well said, Christina. Colby's number one, Crosshair's conflict on Omega's compass. I have no doubt that Crosshair is conflicted now, whereas he was not 2 episodes ago. I really look forward to seeing what happens with him. Contrast that with Omega's moral compass and a refusal to give up on anyone, and we have the potential for some wonderful storytelling next season. I agree. Excuse me, Mary's number one, Omega saying to Crosshair, you're still their brother. You're my brother too. That was, oof. Mary, you're pulling out the good emotional beats in this episode because that was really lovely. Terry's number one, final conversation between Hunter and Crosshair before the crew left. We knew where Hunter stood, but it left so many open questions about Crosshair's future. Indeed it did, and Mason was like, well, how's he going to escape? And that's a good question. Kato, number one, the music was very much Bad Batch's composition. Earlier episodes brought a lot of classic saga references, especially regarding the Empire, like the Death Star escape, where this episode score brought the themes of the specific series forward. And Kato, I love when you talk about music and storytelling because I can tell you've studied this before. Jason's number one, the desperation and suspense of trying to escape from sunken Topoka City. I was on the edge of my seat the whole episode. Oh, me too. Me too. Daniel's number one, Omega's continuing heroism, saving AZ and Crosshair. What a great lesson about self-sacrifice and humanity. Indeed. Josh is number one, Crosshair saves Omega. Like my number two, this shows how they're like estranged siblings. Good connection. There's a bit of strain and conflict, but they still care. Omega has shown that very apparently, and now Crosshair is showing that he cares as well by saving her. We've seen, let me get that back up. We've seen little hints that he cares in the past, but this truly shows it. Indeed it does, my friend. Brian's number one, the team's defense of Omega leading and trusting in her escape plan. Isn't that cool? Just complete trust and no conversation. Let's just go. And they trust her. Number one for Blake, the clone trooper reporting Kamino was destroyed. Even regs are feeling things with everything going on. I pray season 2 dives into that fully over anything else. That would be nice. That would be nice. And on a side personal note, Blake, I told you the Cubs would not beat the Marlins. And they didn't. They didn't. So kudos to you, my friend. Ben's number one, Omega saves AZ. Crosshair saves them both. There's still good in him. It was, oh, nice. It was the only time in the episode I could breathe a sigh of relief. Never underestimate the good that someone you disagree with is capable of doing. Very well said, Ben. James is number one. Definitely the end when Omega says to Crosshair, you're still my brother. Got me teary-eyed. Then Crosshair staying behind with Crosshair. I do believe he'll turn on the Empire similar to how Agent Callus did in Rebels to join the rebellion. Ooh, that would be cool. Mary said, I think this is top 5 heart-wrenching moments. Yes, you did, Mary, and you were correct. Minta's number one. We may have different perspectives, but that shouldn't make us enemies. Minta, that is one of my favorite parts of this episode as well. It was great. Josh's honorable mention is the score. Blake is talking trash, which is really uncool when the Cubs have lost 11 in a row. Daniel, they even let Omega have/press a detonator. Ooh, yes, they did, didn't they? Jason says he thought about Callus as well. Mason's number one. This is a really powerful moment. This is when Hunter says to Crosshair, all you'll ever be to them is a number. And on another personal note, I'm so proud of Mason for finding deep connections in these stories. Like, he didn't even talk. When he makes his top 5s, we make them together. But he doesn't share with me until he's done. He doesn't ask any questions. He just dives in. So, nice job, Mason. Mason going to be starting 3rd grade this week, so be sure to wish him well, everybody. But good job. Brian says, Kamino was sunny in the ARC Troopers episode in Season 3 of the Clone Wars. We were rewatching earlier episodes and noticed it was sunny in that one. Ah, thank you. So does Kamino stop raining at certain points? I always thought it rained 24/7. I guess it has to, otherwise, I don't know, does the planet flood? Is that possible? It becomes an underwater planet? Totally? I don't know. Jason says, good one, Mason. Mary says, honorable mention the Star Tours like Sea Creature also reminded me of the underwater scenes on Naboo. Agreed. Mason says, Blake, go Padres. Oh, come on. Ben says, good job, Mason. Wise beyond your years. And Christina also says, well done, Mason. There you go. I love it. Thank you all so much. Let's talk about what's going to be next. So for like 3 months or what? No, since May the 4th. These went from May the 4th. The final episode was Friday the 13th of August. So, 4 months of Bad Batch conversation. Blake says, Padres who? Uh-huh. Sounds like a lot of trash talking. Let's reroute this thing. Next week's top five. Top five favorite clones. This is one that we've been talking about for a while. Mason's really fired up about it. I am too. So let's be clear on this. This includes the Bad Batch. Your whole list can be just the Bad Batch, but you've got a lot of clones to choose from. And I really want you to think about this. You've got a lot of clones to choose from. This is going to be a fun one. We get to be a little more explorative because we're not just confined to a particular episode. But I will say that talking about the Bad Batch with all of you has been so much fun. You've really enhanced how much I have loved talking the Bad Batch and breaking it down and analyzing it. So thank you so much for that. All right. So as promised, we're going to give this an overall letter grade for the entire season. Again, I am Dan Z, host of Coffee with Kenobi. Thrilled to be talking with you. And look, it's the first show and we just got started, but we've had more people consistently than we have in a long time. So the earlier time is working. So if you're watching this right now, tag a couple of friends that you know love Star Wars. Have them join the conversation. Share it with your other friends as well. This is how we can continue to build this amazing Star Wars community. Speaking of amazing communities, the CWK Alliance is a great way for you to support us. Or I shouldn't say us, to support Coffee with Kenobi and this incredible community that I'm a part of. And if you do, then you are a part of... Oh, let me get rid of those things. Then you are a part of our CWK Alliance. You're able to get some extra bonus content from me. This week, I host CWK Pro, of course, with Corey Club and Tom Gross. We talked about our top 5 heartbreaking sports moments. Now, for some people, that may not be specifically Star Wars related. Of course, it's not. But CWK Pro is a great way for us to kind of share a lot of aspects of our life. And, of course, we talk about a lot of Star Wars as well. And then, of course, on Coffee with Kenobi this week, we're going to talk in March more detail about the Bad Batch, Kamino Lost. And look at that haunting scene. We didn't talk about that, but we certainly will on the main show itself. Okay, we've got a lot of fun things here. Let's see. Blake wants to know, does Boba Fett count? No comment. No comment. I don't want to influence your list, buddy. But it's top 5 clones, so do with that what you will. Ben said, number 1 Omega. There, I said it. Ooh, there you go. Mina says it's going to be hard to narrow it down. It's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Mary says, good luck with 3rd grade, Mason. Thank you so much. Josh says, dang, that's not fair to do top 5 clones right after the Bad Batch, but that's part of the strategy, isn't it? That's going to be fun. Terry says, I'm going to go live. I'm going to live off my Galaxy's Edge high for the next 4 months or until the next Disney Plus Star Wars show. I know. Trust me, that Galaxy's Edge high is going to last you a long time. Christina says, Blake, yeah, he's a clone, so yes. So Mason is responding to you, trash talking the Padres. James says, Palpatine and the Rise of Skywalker and Snoke clones, kinda. Oh, we're going to have some debates next week for sure. Interesting. Josh says, you want to wait long? Vision comes out pretty soon. That's right, it does. Ben says, I need a hockey stick or a puck in that image you just showed. Oh, I know. Well, I don't know. Do we talk about hockey? I can't remember. There's a lot of baseball talk, of course, and some football and things. Hauser's going to have to be in somebody's top 5. Ooh, thank you for reminding me of Hauser. I don't know. I've got like 15 right now that I'm thinking about. So this is going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's talk about how you would if at the beginning of each episode of Coffee with Kenobi, the main show, which of course, gosh, we've been doing it for over 8 years now. I ask whoever I'm doing the show with, hey, give me a letter grade for the episode and your overall thoughts. So give me your letter grade and overall thoughts on season 1 of Star Wars: The Bad Batch. All right. I'm somewhere between an A- and a B+. I love this show. I think it's so much fun. I was riveted by it every single week. I can't wait for season 2. I'm thrilled there's going to be season 2. I love and adore these characters. I would say I'm torn between an A- and a B+ because as much as I loved it, it didn't reach the heights of Rebels for me. Rebels had a much more distinct starting point and ending point, but it's not fair to compare Bad Batch to that because Rebels was set in a specific time period that we kind of know what's going to happen. And this one, we don't really know. This is all uncharted territory between episode 3 and episode 4. So it's pretty daunting, but I really like how they handled it. So I guess I'll just give it an A- for season 1 overall. Okay. Daniel says there needs to be a top 7. Whoa, Daniel, you could have 2 honorable mentions. How about that? Colby's going to give it a solid A. I really enjoyed seeing the start of the Empire through the unique perspective of the Bad Batch, at the introduction of Omega, and the effect she had on these tough soldiers, a stellar production value, and it all adds up to a strong first season. Good job, Colby. I think that's why I'm giving it an A-. Terry's, I'm an A- with season 1. It was much better than expected. Very good. Mary said B+ with rounding it up to an A-. Yeah, I was kind of in that in between, but I think the way what Colby described it was in the recesses of my mind, I'm going to say. Christina, A-. I loved it, and I'm enjoying the slow burn, and this is a time period I've wanted more of forever. I agree. I love it. Blake's a B-. Great moments, but a story and character progression I need more from. That's fair. That's honest. There's absolutely nothing wrong with giving it a B or C or whatever, because critical thinking and intellectual honesty, always the way to go. So that's good. And that's one of the great things about Coffee with Kenobi and this amazing community that we have, because we can find different ways, but we never argue or anything like that, because we just have different perspectives and points of view. But at the end of the day, we love this community and we love our Star Wars. So I love that. Daniel says A, very well done. Cato says, going to go with B+ for the reasons you just mentioned. I'm doing a Rebels rewatch. I'm enjoying Bad Batch a whole lot. Bad Batch is great, but to me, nothing beats Star Wars Rebels, I think. Minta is going to give it an A. Very good. Very, very good. Jason's going to give it a solid A. I look forward to it every week. I love the exploration of the time period and the storyline, what they do with the clones and the gray order of how Order 66 and their inhibitor chips work, plus text one-liners and Omega's awesomeness. Oh, I love it. I love it. Mason gives it an A+. I was excited to see what you thought, Mason. I wasn't sure. Ben said B+ was the best first season of the 3 animated series that we have. Wow. I love the storylines and the character development of Omega and Hunter. Drags on my score. Need to develop the other characters more. Need a faster pace, but B+ is a really good score in my book. It's an excellent score. It's an excellent score. I'm probably more like 89.999%. So that's how I'm getting my A-, but it's pretty close to a B+. Christina says Rebels is also the favorite. Yeah, I think Rebels is as good as it gets. And definitely. And I'm loving the Bad Batch. Cannot wait for season 2. Can't wait to talk about it with every one of you. Let's jump in and go ahead to Ask Dan Z. And of course, if you have those of you who still want to weigh in on your letter grade and overall reactions to season 1, please let me know. But right now we're going to go to Ask Dan Z. Josh says A-. It was very good. There were a few, not many times when it needed to stay focused, like in Infested and Aftermath was a little long, maybe like an hour flat rather than an hour 15. I really appreciate the fact they took time to develop the characters rather than jumping from Death Star battle to Death Star battle, so to speak. Visuals, music, and the writing were great. They managed to, despite the many cameos, avoid the story being taken over. Overall, great, not perfect, but great. That's fair. I think that's pretty valid. I'm inclined to agree with you on a lot of points there. So this is your chance to ask me about what's going on with the Halcyon, Star Wars, podcasting, Coffee with Kenobi, all that stuff. Mason says Mandalorian is A++++++. Yeah, the Mandalorian is also another level. Ben, do you have one of those Star Wars rugs from Ruggable? And if so, do you like it? I'm in the market for my new office. Ben, I have 3 of them. I love them. I did a campaign with them. I got the Millennium. There are pictures on our Coffee with Kenobi Instagram page, so please follow that page, subscribe, like, whatever it is. But yeah, I've got some pictures on there of all the rugs we have. I've got a Falcon one, I've got an X-Wing one, I've got a TIE Fighter one. They're really, really nice. My wife loves them too. And it's great because they're subtle, but they're not subtle. If you're a Star Wars fan, you know where to look. So it's really cool. Favorite Star Wars blaster or DC-15 rifle is my answer. My favorite Star Wars blaster is Solo's. Han Solo's all the way. That was the first one that really captivated me. Mary says, are those little items you've been dropping on Instagram going to be part of your Galaxy's Edge tour? Mary, anything is possible. But yes, that's going to be a heavy part of that. Good. And thank you for following the stories. I'm loving posting them. It's really great. There's a lot of great stuff we're able to do on Coffee with Kenobi, a lot of content. So if you find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, certainly subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's a lot of stuff that I try to vary it on a different platform. So thank you for noticing that, Mary. Ben, I'm thinking of getting the TIE Fighter one. Thank you for the recommendation. You're welcome, Ben. When you get it, post in the CWK Cafe. I'd love to see it. Let's see. Brian, A-. There are a few moments that seem like filler with no real character or plot development, but overall, love the show. Rebels is still my favorite. Very cool. Josh, the Rebel V10 only because of Battlefront. Nice. What do you use? What lights do you use for your broadcast room? Love the blue hue. Well, I've got like 6 or 7 lights going on at the same time, but these lights are floodlights basically, and I can change the colors all the time. But the blue kind of pops in here, and it looks pretty cool. So thank you, Terry. Colby, some of my favorite CWK episodes are the 5 things we love about. I believe these exist for every Star Wars film except one. When are we getting the Rise of Skywalker? Wait, no, I think we have one. I think I did it with Ed Dollista of the IndieCast. So check that, Colby. If not, we'll have to do something about that. Blake says everyone should follow CWK on Instagram. Well, thank you, my friend. I wouldn't be sad if you did that. We'd certainly love to have you continue the conversation through the medium of pictures and some video for sure. Speaking of video, of course, you can find this show on our Instagram page, on Facebook later on the replay, or on our YouTube channel, which I hope you're able to subscribe to. Josh, what's your favorite superhero movie? I'd have to go with Incredibles. I just watched Dark Knight, and that one is great too. The Dark Knight is transcendent. The Dark Knight is beyond a superhero movie. The Dark Knight is like the godfather of superhero movies. So, my favorite superhero movie, though, that's hard. There's a lot of great Marvel ones to choose from. I love the original Superman with Christopher Reeve. That's a really hard one, Josh. Maybe that would be a good topic. Top 5 superhero movies on CWK program. Woof. Colby says, you're right. That's right. You have a heck of a memory. Well, sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. Not all the time, but thank you. Yeah, that was fun. All right. Any other questions for me? How do you celebrate May the 4th at your school? Well, Tom Gross, of course, works with me. He hosts CWK Portal with me and Corey Club. I always wear a Star Wars t-shirt. We try to play Star Wars music in between class periods. And sometimes I'll show like The Mandalorian or something there. We have a lot of fun with that. Josh, was that your first watch, The Dark Knight? How exciting. Nothing beats that first watch. I was thinking that too. Josh, if that's your first one, The Dark Knight is just, I can't, it's amazing. It's an almost perfect superhero movie. Maybe a little long, but it's a pretty spectacular superhero movie. Yes. All right. So be sure to join us next week, of course, at our brand new time. Again, I'm so thrilled, so delighted that you're all able to join me. We'll be here on Mondays at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, naturally talking Star Wars. We're going to have your top 5 favorite clones. Again, a really tough one, but I'm really proud of this topic. Mason definitely was a big part of that. So get your list ready to go. Mary, have a great week to you. Meantime, may the Force be with you. I'm back at school now, starting my 16th year in education, and I could not be happier. Cato, thank you, my friend. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Blake, love you too, brother. Have a good night. Colby, have a great week. See you in the cafe. Really nice to have you and everyone here, of course, each and every week. Remember, next week, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Brian says, great way to start the week. Thank you, Brian. It's great for me because I get to chat with my Star Wars friends. What could be better than that? Vince is glad to be back. I missed this a lot while I was moving, but glad to be back. We're glad to have you, Ben. Josh says it was great. I like how they balanced the darkness, talking about the Dark Knight. Was just enough that it wasn't over the top and didn't depart from the essence of Batman. Heath Ledger is wow. Mark Hamill is my favorite Joker, but Heath Ledger is a close second. You really can't argue with either of those two, can you? They're great. I'm glad you liked it. Jason, have a good night. Thank you, Christina. Have a great week. Mary, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to the school year. Daniel says, have a great one. Enjoy 3rd grade. Mason, thanks, everybody. Take care. Be well. Be sure to listen to Coffee with Kenobi this week. We'll have a much more detailed conversation about the finale of The Bad Batch with LJ Sauter and Tom Gross. Take care, everybody. Remember, this is a live podcast you're looking for. We'll see you next time.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one